Here, Billy.
Well, we do, Jim, and of all the games that have been played so far in college basketball, I think the first matchup between Michigan and IU was the best game of the year so far, and here we see how it came down to the wire.
Voskuhl missed from the corner. Howard kept it alive. Weber going for the win.
Henderson with the block right to Cheney ends the ball game.
Indiana won that game by a point on January the 12th. They're unbeaten in the Big Ten, but they had quite a scare on Tuesday night. A double overtime victory at Penn State.
Well, a very unfortunate call for Penn State here. Without question, IU grabbed the shirt and would have been an intentional foul. 2 shots for Penn State and the ball out of bounds. It didn't work out that way. They lost the game in double overtime.
Billy, we are 4 weeks away from Selection Sunday. Tomorrow it's number 4 Michigan against number 1 Indiana, perhaps playing for a number 1 seed in the tournament. They're calling it in Indiana the hardest ticket in Hoosier history, as today the Michigan Wolverines meet the Indiana Hoosiers. Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Nance. Happy Valentine's Day, and welcome to the race for number 1 in the polls. Take a look at the top 5 in the AP. Indiana sits atop the rankings. Kentucky lost this week to Arkansas. Duke was defeated yesterday by Wake Forest, so the winner will be number 1. Michigan would vault to number 1 with a victory today against the Hoosiers. And Billy Packer, some are calling this the game of the year in the regular season in college basketball. What do you think about
Jim,
that?
It means so much in this game. Forget about the polls. We're only 1 month away from Selection Sunday. I think the club that wins today is guaranteed to be a number 1 selection. And if both play well, I think they put themselves in a position to be a number 1 seed.
All right, Billy, the teams are ready. They've had the starting lineups. We'll get the game underway when we come back in a moment.
CBS Sports coverage of the road to the Final Four is sponsored by Mercedes-Benz, where safety, reliability, and performance are never optional. The people at Nike, who encourage you to just do it. And by McDonald's, what you want is what you get, guaranteed at McDonald's today.
All right, here are your lineups. Chris Webber, along with Ray Jackson, Juwan Howard, Jimmy King, and Jalen Rose. And for Indiana, Calbert Cheney with Alan Henderson, who was sensational in the first game between these teams. Matt Nover, Greg Graham, and Damon Bailey. And Cheney slaps it past Bailey, who makes the save. Nope, he was on the line, so Michigan basketball. The officials, Jody Sylvester, Steve Welmer, and Tim Higgins. They all, well, 2 of them worked late last night. Higgins worked at Providence, got in here late. Welmer worked the Wisconsin double overtime game that went past 11 o'clock, so a weary officiating crew in here.
Jim, no reason for that whatsoever. You got a game like this, the guys should be rested just like the players are.
Chris Webber strong inside for the game's first 2.
You're talking about so much on the line for 2 teams and 2 coaches. The officials should certainly have been in here last night. And here's that tough man-to-man. Michigan has really picked up their defense this year. Only 1 team has shot over 50%, and that team being the Indiana Hoosiers.
Henderson doubled up on the baseline and throws it away. That's a backcourt violation, turning it over to Michigan. Look at Michigan the first time it had it. Billy setting up Webber.
Well, what they're going to try to do, obviously, is go down in the low post to Juwan Howard and Chris Webber. He's going to be triple teamed. He's got to know when he's open and when he's not. In that particular case, because of his great strength in his hands and movement and the good low post position, he was able to score.
These teams met on January the 12th at Chrysler Arena in Ann Arbor, and Indiana won 76-75. Alan Henderson had 22 points, 8 rebounds, out rebounding Juwan Howard and Chris Webber, and had the game-saving block in the last second of a Webber shot in the lane.
He came up big on both ends of the floor, Jim, and in that particular game, I think, as I mentioned, Indiana shot so well, particularly early on in the game, to get a pretty commanding lead before Michigan made that great comeback.
Jimmy King gives it up to Jackson off the glass. King spotting Jackson at the last second, and it's 4-0 for the visitors.
Excellent hit ahead. Good recovery that time by Webber because Nover had the angle on him.
Graham, 3-pointer.
What set all that up is that Michigan got themselves in bad. There was a hold by Bailey. Tough break for Indiana and a smart play by Bailey back on Jalen Rose, who couldn't get away from him, but Bailey was holding. Bob Knight upset with that. And Michigan will have to remember the 3rd man, instead of running down floor to set up, is going to have to help out in that out-of-bounds situation.
When Indiana beat Michigan back in January, it was Bob Knight's 500th victory at Indiana. And there's one back.
Knight off the bench early here. Getting an attitude adjustment on the part of both his team and the officials.
So Rose called for that one.
Indiana sets up in their triangle offense. See Jackson on Chaney. He's actually holding Chaney. Has to be a foul. And now he's going to be talking to him. Jim, these guys might not have got much sleep getting in here, but they better get on top of this game early. Now look at Ray Jackson. Without question, you got to clean that up immediately. Jackson actually has a bear hug on Calbert Chaney. And Jackson gave him quite a compliment. He said Chaney's the toughest man that he's ever guarded, and that includes Jimmy Jackson. And he said he was tougher last year to guard than Jimmy Jackson, the player of the year in the Big Ten and first-team All-American.
4-3 Michigan. Howard working on Henderson. Henderson forces it. Saved by Bailey to Chaney underneath. Couldn't handle it. Juwan Howard hits the outlet. Here's Michigan ahead to King.
Oh, what a block.
Graham slapped it away.
That was an automatic two for Jimmy King.
Graham at the other end. Missing the three. Rose with the rebound. Ahead is Weber.
He won't block this one.
He'll shoot two.
Michigan taking advantage. I really think that Indiana came down and shot a little quicker. And there was the perfect block by Graham on Jimmy King, who's a skywalker himself.
That foul against Greg Graham. Weber to the line for two. Shooting only 52% from the line, Billy.
Jim, you know what was amazing in that game, that first game that was so hotly contested, is that Michigan was only on the foul line 6 times for the game and made 4.
And Indiana shot only 10 times.
Exactly, 5 out of 10.
16 for the game. That's, you never hear about that.
Well, we get on the officials some, but when you have stats like that, it meant one thing. The game had to be perfectly officiated because it let the players play.
Weber, Michigan's leading scorer, rebounder, shot blocker, and top shooter from the floor, makes 1 of 2 for a 5-3 Wolverine lead.
Pick up full court man-to-man.
Called that one tightly against King.
Now you have Steve Fisher up off the bench, not to take any back seat to Bob Knight early on. And you know, interesting mutual respect here. For so many years, Bob Knight used to get on the Michigan case, but he has great respect for the way Steve Fisher has handled this club.
Bailey, pull-up jumper, way too long.
I think he expected Weber to come at him a little bit.
Jackson come from the other side. King spotted him. Will send Jackson to the line for 2. That foul was called against Chaney. Michigan 4-3 against teams ranked at the time they played them.
Well, Jim, we talk about Michigan too. How about beating 3 of them, 3 top teams 3 nights in a row in Hawaii? And IU, of course, has had a tremendous season, not only in the Big Ten, but outside. And those only 2 losses were the 2 games, Jim. We had them here on CBS. In Kentucky.
You talked about, oh my, was that short for Jackson? He'll have one more. That Michigan stretch in the islands, maybe the best single stretch of the season by any team, knocking off in 3 consecutive nights. Nebraska when it was ranked, North Carolina on a follow-up shot at the buzzer by Rose, and then Kansas.
I couldn't agree with you more, Jim. Now, I think that Indiana is shooting the ball too quick. They're going to have to play a game. They're going to play basically 5 guys that bring in Evans later. But it's a club that needs to keep most of their starters on the floor for 35-plus minutes. Michigan can go to that bench much sooner, so let's see if they don't go ahead and try to handle the ball a little more. Foul off the ball on Jalen Rose.
Rose with his 2nd. Bob Knight talked to us about that yesterday. Says we must wait for the good shot, patience for the good shot. They've scored only 1 goal from the floor, that a 3-point shot by Greg Graham. And Rob Pelinka will replace Jalen Rose, who will sit with the 2 personals.
Well, Jalen, of course, had a nightmare game in here last year. 5 points, 1 assist, no rebounds, was 2 for 11. And he goes down early on the bench. They really need him out there to get that ball down inside.
Player who had a great game here last year for Michigan was Juwan Howard. 26 points, 10 rebounds as a freshman last year here. Graham stops his dribble, looking for help.
Over setting screens, walking all over, trying to get screens on the inside for Graham or Bailey.
Henderson over Howard.
Second bad shot of the day for Henderson. Look at the big man put the ball on the floor.
Cheney tried to sneak up from behind. Thought about the three, gives it up to Jackson instead. And Ray Jackson now with 4 points, 7-3 Michigan.
Jim, he is kind of the unheralded of the 5 Fab freshmen. But you know what? I think he is really making great improvement. Despite that injury he had this year, he is becoming a very effective player.
Matt Nover with the jumper. Jackson, who's speaking of, here he is, out about a month with a dislocated shoulder.
Good cross-court passing against Indiana. Always smart to do because they slough off so much on the weak side.
Bailey on the break. Cheney on the wing, tried to bounce it over, but Howard kicked it away. This is the second longest home win streak in college basketball here at Assembly Hall. And UNLV is playing right now against Louisville, trying to extend the nation's longest to 60. Cheney.
Good bounce on that jump shot, and look at Chris Webber taking off again. Nice idea about Pelinka.
That could have been backcourt.
No, it isn't. And the reason it isn't that the ball never crossed half court.
He had 1 foot in the front court.
You've got to have both feet and the ball crossed before you are going to be in a backcourt violation.
Weber gets it back and uses the glass.
It's one of those that looked like an unusual play, Jim, but he hadn't yet brought everything over into the front court.
9-5 Michigan. Cheney blocked.
Great help that time by Jackson. And we see Pelinka. He's up there. He's got the ball in the front in the backcourt. Now, see, his foot went over, but he doesn't have the other foot or the ball, so that's not a backcourt violation. You can do that.
Breaking the action with Michigan and Chris. Indiana sub in, number 21, Chris Reynolds taking the inbounds. And 2 subs in for Michigan. They've got James Boxtel, number 32, wearing the mask, and Eric Riley, the 7-footer, number 42. This, by the way, the first game in almost a month for Chris Webber, not having to wear the protective mask after breaking his nose in practice January the 18th.
Good job by Pelinka, playing Reynolds tough.
That's goaltending against Howard.
2 theories when you guard a guy like Reynolds, who is not a great shooter. One is to play off him. The other is to play him tight, so it makes it difficult to throw the ball inside. And you can see without question, the ball had hit the backboard, was coming back on its way down, and Juwan Howard got a piece of it. Notice how Howard is the man that takes the ball out of bounds. A good decision maker, smart player in every facet of the game. Doesn't have a lot of blocked shots for a big man, only 7 on the year. That's because he plays a very smart defensive game. Big steal.
Alan Henderson ties it at 9.
There's a case. He stepped out of bounds on the sideline. That's twice over on that sideline. The first play of the game when Damon Bailey almost saved one. And there, Henderson was off to the races, an easy 2.
I don't think Henderson heard the whistle either.
Well, and that's why it wasn't a technical foul.
So it's 9-7 Michigan. King handling the basketball with Rose on the bench with 2 fouls.
Good distribution. You're going to give Jimmy King that outside shot. Nice hands by Howard.
Howard on the blocks.
That was a beautiful feed. On the proper side, made it impossible for the defender to get there, and Howard used those good hands on the catch. So far, Cheney hasn't touched the ball much, Jim. It's time to get it to him. Here he is.
Driving past Bosco, goes reverse.
Good, smart play by Calvert Cheney. Hiding himself away from the ball and then coming to meet it. You can hear the officials hollering inside for the cleaning up the post play.
That's the 3 that Bosco needed the first time out this year. Had the shot to win it in the closing stretches. Rebounded by his teammates. That shot blocked away, and Indiana won by 1. Graham off the dribble.
Jim, when you look at this Michigan club, nobody can come off the bench with the diversity of size and backcourt play and experience that Michigan can. You know, Bosco was a starter, Riley a starter, Pelinka a starter.
Pelinka with the three. Pelinka having started 4 games this year. Bosco started 6 this year. Eric Riley, 7-footer off the bench.
And we haven't even mentioned Talley, who had, you know, a double-figure type scorer 2 years ago.
Second leading scorer 2 years ago. They score the basket. Cheney will shoot 1. Foul against Bosco.
Look at Bosco looking at Cheney and saying, it is impossible. I hit him on the elbow, which usually eliminates any chance of a shot going in. And Cheney hits it anyway, fading away. Watch, Bosco pops him. Then he comes down, he hits him on the elbow. There is no way to make that kind of a jump shot when a man gets a piece of your elbow.
Bosco sits along with Howard. Weber and Jackson return. Indiana unbeaten in the Big Ten. The last Big Ten team to go undefeated through the whole league was Indiana 1976.
And you know, they went undefeated, Jim, but the 2 toughest games that they had all year in the Big Ten were against Michigan. A tap-in by Kent Benson beat them here in one of the real great contests. Johnny Orr's outstanding club going against Bob Knight's team. And, of course, they met again for the championship. First time ever that 2 teams from the same conference went against each other in the '76 championship, which obviously Indiana won and completed their undefeated season.
That was the Ricky Green team from Michigan of '76. Bob Knight winning his first championship at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. Now back again into the game for Michigan is Weber. He's set for a few minutes. And he is back in the lineup. And Brian Evans, a freshman for Indiana, seeing his first action. He hit the game winner in the Hoosiers' struggle to victory, double overtime against Penn State on Tuesday, Billy.
Very tough shot, an unusual shot taken by Evans, and the fact that you wouldn't think that that's where the ball is going to be in the hands of Evans to make that critical shot.
You know what they're disputing here, Billy, is the possession arrow after the opening tip. Remember, the tip was too strong. Bailey tried to save it, and now there's a disagreement as to who has the arrow. The question is, did Bailey on the opening tip have possession? And I believe he did, Billy. Tried to save it.
I don't know if he had possession. I don't know, and that's what the claim is. I don't know if he had possession and then stepped out of bounds or was out of bounds as he gained possession.
Well, they're going to give the arrow now to Indiana. So they changed it and ruled that he did not have possession.
He actually was out of bounds on the step when he caught the ball.
Three-point play for Cheney, who has 5 points. 17-14 Michigan.
Indiana really packing things in defensively. Want to take away that shot for Weber in there. And Weber's being guarded by Evans now. I think they ought to get Weber the ball down low and just let him overpower Evans. Here he goes, right down the lane. Too strong for Evans.
That position, they didn't get it to him. Jackson off balance, too strong.
Michigan has to be more patient when they get in a situation like that. There's no way Evans can handle him down here. Here he goes.
Kicks it back out to King, three-pointer.
You see what Indiana had to do to compensate to help Evans. Everybody packed in against Weber and gave it an easy pass out to King.
King's first three, boy, was he hot last week, Billy, on CBS, the Purdue game you broadcast. 10 out of 11 from the floor. 24 points for King.
Not only a great game as far as those stats, but he played a flawless floor game as well. Rebounding, blocking shots, making steals.
Nova in the jam. And a 5 count. Turn it over to Michigan. You talked about that first game. There were only 16 free throws between the two teams. How about the turnovers? The few turnovers committed by Michigan first time out. Incredible.
It was an amazing game statistically when they had, when you take in consideration, in the case of Michigan, they had 6 turnovers, Jim. But the intensity of that game defensively, much like this one, is the kind of game you would think they'd turn it over more, go to the foul line more. And again, I think that was attributed to some real good officiating.
Jackson.
They're letting Jackson have the shot. He's going to have to prove he can score against him.
King just hit 1-3. In and out this time.
Nice rebound by Jackson. Can't hang on.
Reynolds now 2-on-2. Oh, he traveled with it. He traveled.
Well, Reynolds has explosive speed, but he just couldn't pull himself together.
They head to the benches with Michigan leading by 6. National championship banners flying here at Assembly Hall. 40-53. The Knight picked it up. 76, 81, 87. Spacing might be about right for 93.
His first 2 in Philadelphia. New Orleans, another one, Jim.
And so heading back to New Orleans this year.
Right.
Howard turnaround.
Yeah, this is a tough matchup now for Indiana because Evans has got to play Weber with Howard back in the game. It's amazing Michigan has played this well with Jalen Rose no factor early on, and there again a foul away from the ball. Jackson trying to stay up with Calvert Chaney.
That's the second on Jackson. Both holding up Chaney, both of the fouls.
You know, Jim, out of the last 90 minutes Indiana has played, Calvert Chaney has played in 88 of them.
Played all 50 minutes against Penn State in a double overtime game.
Exactly. And this is a time of year when you know, even for a senior, a mature player, those kind of minutes can catch up with you a little bit. You saw it happen to Bobby Hurley this past week, in my opinion. You play so many minutes, all of a sudden there's a certain part of the year where your legs just go from you a little bit. Takes a couple of weeks to get that back, maybe 10 days.
Subs in. Rose has returned from Michigan, replacing Palenka. Henderson back into the Hoosier lineup, along with Todd Leary for the first time, number 30.
Graham missed Nober, who stepped right in and had a layup. Great change off the pass, wasn't it?
Wild on the shot, and Weber too strong for the rebound. They've got the numbers here. King gives it up, and Jackson trailing smartly.
Smart play by Jimmy King. He was too far under the basket to make the play.
Howard.
Boy, he loves that little turnaround jump.
He has 6, and the lead is at 10, 24-14. Fourth-ranked Michigan over number 1 Indiana.
Well, that was the biggest lead Indiana had over Michigan at Michigan. A 10-point lead, 43-33.
Good away.
Howard can put it on the floor.
Soft shot, and he'll shoot one.
Gifted player, Jim. He's not to be taken for granted as far as being considered a great player. Showed you the low post move the last time down the floor, and that time put the ball on the floor for 35 feet and was able to convert.
I missed your Purdue game last week, Billy. I was out at Pebble Beach, but they put the big 3 at Michigan on the floor at the same time for the first time ever. Riley, Weber, and Howard. How did it look?
Well, you know, Steve Fisher says he doesn't like that look, doesn't like that feel, but I'll tell you what, it's a tough matchup on the college level to play 3 players that big in the low post.
Michigan on a 10-0 run, leading by 13.
Leary out here. Jalen Rose keeping an eye on him because you know Leary's looking for the jumper. Jalen Rose will have to stay solid on him, and he does. Smart play by Jalen.
Over, stuck on the baseline. Back out to Leary.
Even from behind at 6'8", he can handle him.
Leary. Oh, he is a pure shooter. Who can forget last year at the Final Four, 3 3-pointers in the last minute against Duke. And King slams it home to get the lead back to 13, 29-16.
Well, surprisingly, Michigan has been able to beat down and get numbers on Indiana on conversions. Normally something that Indiana is very good at.
Chaney gets it up last second. Henderson leaning. Follow up. And one.
Just kept battling. Bob Nate made a good point yesterday, talking to the players that if you don't get the ball up above the rim, you can't score. And obviously that's true in terms of your own basket, because if you shoot under the rim, it won't go in. But the key thing that he was talking about there is it gives you a chance for offensive rebounding. There you can see Alan Henderson following up his own shot in excellent position for the putback.
Over goes out. Leary on the floor along with Greg Graham, Evans, Chaney, and Henderson missing to try to convert the 3-point play. Michael Talley has come in for Michigan. He's handling the basketball. His first action today.
With just some more experience at a key position. There's the numbers. Chaney's got the jumper.
It's a 3-point jumper.
And the reason for for that is Jackson had fallen down on the other end of the floor. Ray may be trying to do a little bit too much offensively with the responsibility he has defensively on Calvert Chaney.
13-point lead has been cut to 8. Rose three-pointer.
Big basket.
His first points.
Jalen Rose has got to stay with Leary now. He wants to help out and go for the steal, but he's got to remember who he's guarding. Nice double team. Somebody's open.
Leary rattles out, and Weber pulls it down. His 4th rebound.
Time for Michigan to go back down inside, Jim.
Rose will try it from the same spot. Not this time.
Not a good shot selection there.
Good job of boxing out by Evans. Leary takes the middle. Now we'll pull it back out. Underneath Leary.
See, what's happening to Jalen Rose? He is trying to guard other people. He turns his head. Leary moves well without the ball. Jalen has to understand he's guarding the score.
Good pass, too, by Greg Graham.
Look at Indiana playing what basically looks like a 2-3 zone, packed way back inside.
Weber, forget about it.
The strongest, fastest hands in college basketball.
7 points for Weber. Henderson driving and checked outside by Juwan Howard. That's the second on Howard and the 8th team foul, so they're in the 1-and-1.
Jim, the Michigan big guys, because of the pace of this game, look like they're getting a little tired. You can see that both Howard and Weber bending over, holding on to their jerseys. And Steve Fisher doing a wise thing. Looks like going to take at least Weber's coming out and Jackson.
Riley returns along with Voskuhl. And Damon Bailey on the floor for Indiana again. Bailey has not scored in this game. He had a game last year against Michigan where he did not score.
Right, he had 3 ball games last year where he came up scoreless, and in those games, Indiana lost all 3.
He also had another game against Michigan, however, where he scored 22. And in the game earlier this season, pretty flawless performance. No turnovers and 10 assists.
Exactly. Been kind of a mystery man statistically in those cases. It's the kind of guy that if he can get off early, he has some big games.
Henderson hits both free throws. Breaking the action with the Wolverines by 9. Game summary, Michigan 64%, Indiana 53%. Those numbers significant because Indiana's allowed only one opponent this year over 50% from the floor. That was Minnesota. And how about the other way around? Michigan opponents shooting 50%.
Only one, and that's Indiana.
So hot shooting early. And Michigan leading 34-25 with possession.
And Jim, it's time for Michigan to keep pounding down inside. Make things difficult for Indiana. Play the power game.
Riley turnaround.
There it is. Just keep working Henderson, Chaney, and Nova when he's in the game. Make them guard somebody because they've got to play a lot of minutes. Indiana cannot come off the bench with size and power.
Evans. He's going to be a good one, Billy. The redshirt freshman, Brian Evans from Terre Haute, Indiana.
There's a good steal. A good hit ahead. Beautiful.
Greg Graham.
That was a smart play by Graham. Not only did he make the steal, he pushed the ball ahead with his hands so he could outrun the defender. Offensive.
They turn it over to Indiana.
Now watch Graham right here. He makes the steal and then realizing he's got a foot race, taps the ball ahead so that he can use his superior speed so that Howard can't catch him. Very smart play.
Foul at the other end was on Riley, his first and the 9th team foul against Steve Fisher's club. So 1-and-1 for Alan Henderson, who already has hit on both ends of a 1-and-1. I was looking at some stats this week, Billy. The nation is shooting 66.9%. Worst free throw percentage in college basketball since 1958.
Correct.
Any reason why?
Well, I think it's a concentration factor, Jim, because the technique is still the same. I'll tell you an interesting stat, too, along with free throw shooting. That great 76 team we talked about earlier from Indiana actually shot only 69%. We consider them one of the great teams of all time in college basketball history. 69%. But that 87 club with Steve Alford, 77% from the line as a team.
5-point game, 36-31, Michigan.
Boy, Steve Fisher's really liberally using his bench at some critical times here. I get him playing this game for the second half. Tough shot.
Back to Rose.
6'8" guard, huh? Played right over the top of everybody.
He's matched his total from here a year ago, 5 for Rose.
Evans took Howard before with the dribble. Kind of surprised Juwan Howard. Yep, Henderson trying to make too many plays when he had an easy shot.
Travel call against Henderson. Michigan first half. In the first half against Indiana, January 12, only 38% at home.
And Jim, you know what else is important about that game is the fact that they took 23s in that game. Only made 7, which meant that they didn't pound the ball down inside enough. They don't want to have to rely on the outside shot, particularly against Indiana, a team that, if anything, lacks power down low.
That's another reason they shot only 6 free throws in that game.
Correct.
They've attempted 7 today. Rose spinning over Bailey.
Got hit on the elbow.
No call. And it's off. It's off Michigan. Indiana basketball. Weber can't believe it.
Weber doing almost a hat dance out there trying to get the officials' attention. I think he had a better view of that play than did the referee. Similar to the case in the Penn State game. The TV camera had a better view than did the ref.
Chaney.
Nice reverse dribble by Chaney, but pretty good defense by Bosco.
Bailey picks it up. Tip by Chaney. Henderson has it. And a whistle at last. It's called on Bosco.
Great effort on the part of both teams. Chaney kept it alive. Bailey kept it alive. Bosco was trying. Evans gets a piece of it, keeps it alive. And here's Henderson. He puts it up. Finally gets bombed.
Second on Bosco. Now with 10 team fouls. That means Henderson will be in the double bonus. He'll shoot 2. Pelinka back into the lineup. Bosco will come out. Henderson's already been at the line 5 times. He's made 4 of them.
Jim, one of the things that was amazing in that first game is the fact that Indiana out-rebounded Michigan on their home floor, 33-31. They got on the boards well that time as well.
Talking about on the boards as we see Bosco out. Henderson with 17 rebounds against Penn State. That's a Big Ten high for the sophomore from Indianapolis. You know, I was looking back 32 years ago, a player at Indiana averaged over 17 rebounds a game. Just recently inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Walt Bellamy.
You got it.
Different era. But obviously a great one since he reached the ultimate goal of any player or coach to get into the Hall of Fame.
38-31 Michigan.
Really looking to go inside now. Smart move.
Well, Pelinka too open to pass it up, and he's so pure from out there.
But see what happened, Jim, when they put Riley and Weber down in the low box and kept looking inside. Indiana had to back off. That opened up the wide open three-point shot. Just the threat of going inside was a factor.
Evans.
Right on the line.
Yep. And over the back, Chaney. Well, Prudential Securities at the half with Pat O'Brien coming up in a few minutes. 41-31 Michigan. Eric Riley inbounding.
Jimmy King playing a lot of point now. They're burying Jalen Rose down on the baseline. He's got Chaney on him.
4:20.
Oh, there's an offensive foul that time by Riley. Sure. He put Chaney right on the floor.
And Weber demonstrated for Riley what he had done wrong.
He ran right into Calvert Chaney. I mean, that didn't have to be an acting job at all.
Just under 4:20 remaining in the half.
You see, watch him come running in. Pow! That's like that blocking drill that we see Gene Cady do at Purdue. And talking about Purdue, how about Glenn Robinson yesterday? Plays 48 out of 50 minutes, 13 for 21 from the field, 14 for 14 from the line, 42 points, 7 rebounds, 3 blocks, 4 steals, sold 3,000 boxes of popcorn. I mean, is that guy a player or what?
And led them to a come-from-behind victory against Wisconsin.
Wisconsin team that is playing a lot better than people anticipated. Great
Stu
job
Jackson.
by Stu Jackson.
He's doing a great job. Plus, he's already recruited Rashard Griffith, a 7-footer from Chicago. Wisconsin could be headed this year to the NCAAs. What do you think?
It's a possibility. This league has been that strong from top to bottom. It's a possibility.
It would be Wisconsin's first visit to the tournament since 1947.
And
they won it.
That's right. Haven't lost an NCAA tournament game since 1947. That's a strong statement, isn't it?
Impressive.
Got the best record since 47. Haven't lost a game.
Oh.
Nice fake.
King over Reynolds.
See, Reynolds had to come out to pick him up.
Pat Knight has come into the game, number 25 for Indiana. Cheney running one-hander. Wow. 12 for Cheney.
And what Bob Knight's trying to do here is, if he's going to bring Pat Knight in, get some minutes here to rest some of those people on the inside and not pick up another cheap foul. That's an offensive foul.
The call instead traveling. I could see that one coming.
Yep.
But he did lower the shoulder. No call on that, Billy.
It was an offensive foul. Weber a little frustrated.
So the teams will take a blow with the lead at 8. Michigan 43, Indiana 35.
Back at the hall, the battle for #1, Indiana and Michigan. Hi, everybody. Coming up on Prudential Securities at the half. We'll get you up to date on Valentine's Day sporting news. There is some. And Hoop du Jour makes yet another appearance. This edition, and you're not from Michigan State. All that and more, as usual, at a familiar place. Prudential Securities at the half. Back to you guys.
All right, Pat, thank you. And happy birthday wishes to one of the great sportscasters of all time. Happy 80th, Mel Allen. Alvin Henderson, pull-up jumper. Wow, what a move. That was all. It is Mel Allen's 80th. How about that? But also want to say happy birthday to you, Pat O'Brien. Two straight years we celebrated Pat's birthday on an Indiana-Michigan weekend.
You can see they're getting the ball down to Weber now, Jim. The last time that Weber... Oh, a kiss to the fans, son.
There he is, the birthday man getting set for halftime.
You know the question and the thing that annoys me about him? Why doesn't he have to wear a blue blazer? What's this clothing deal he's got?
Blue is not his color.
Oh, I see.
It is not his color.
All right, I'll buy that.
Weber will shoot one more.
This is the only part of Chris Webber's game that is not big time. He's only shooting 52% from the line. He's got the great touch from the outside, so again, it's not a matter of shooting technique or touch, Jim.
Got the second one. 8 for Weber.
And you can see it pick up full court, double team pressure. Henderson does a nice job coming back.
Pat Knight still in the game. Skips it over to Evans.
Oh, Evans tried to pick up the foul. Nice smart play.
Knight bouncing out to Nover, who makes the move to free himself. Very nice by Nover.
Boy, Bob Knight's team dodged a bullet there because nobody really wanted the shot. Nover, being the experienced senior, went for it.
On the wrist, they call it on Nover. His first.
Well, I think the official finally realized that it wasn't Henderson and had to look for somebody to place it on. Nover, who had picked up a couple of tough fouls in the Penn State game, happens to be the guilty party here.
Juwan Howard will shoot 2. You know, this week, Billy, the Oscar nominations come out. There's one man in this building who may know already who the Oscar nominees are, and that is Juwan Howard. He interned in the summer for Price Waterhouse, the group that keeps the confidential records
Well, you're not. They would never. Come on, Jim.
Well, you've already told me a few good men anyway, as in a lot. One more. Howard knocks them both down. It's 46-39. Are you surprised at all at the number of points scored here in the first half?
I'm surprised the fact that Indiana is playing at this pace, and I also think that Steve Fisher has done an excellent job substituting liberally. Now, he has a bench to do it with, but it would seem, and that's what Coach Knight's trying to do right now, is to get some minutes out of his bench a little bit to rest his starters.
Henderson from the outside. Now with 10.
Bob Knight kidded him yesterday about taking those jumpers. He said, Henderson, what are you trying to be, Glenn Robinson? Well, he's shown today that he does have that ability. Look at Indiana packing everything back in again. Giving up the outside shot, trying to stop everything down low. 3 men around Weber.
Too strong, but King keeps it alive. 3 men around him.
Oh, what a pass!
Weber misses the slam. And Indiana on the break.
No place for Reynolds to go.
Evans, three-pointer. Oh, rattles out, but Nober gets it back.
Oh, great offensive rebounding. Just when you think Indiana would be pulling the ball up, they get a freshman to take the shot from the outside, and the fans love it.
The lead has been trimmed to 3. It was 13 on a couple of occasions in this half.
Boy, is Bob Knight dodging some bullets here, having Chaney get a good, solid, long rest on the bench and getting closer and closer each time down the floor to tying this game up.
Henderson called for his first. He wanted a traveling call. Doesn't get it, so Weber will shoot 1 and 1.
Jim, what I think that Knight recognized is the fact that Steve Fisher was going to play this first half to get to the second half. And Knight realizing he's got to have Chaney fresh. And a good job by Pat Knight. He gets a smack in the head from his father. A loving tap.
Yes, I want to clarify that. Greg Graham comes in to replace Knight.
Those were important minutes to get off the bench.
Michael Talley back for Michigan, missing the front end of the 1 and 1.
Crowd becoming a big factor here.
.126 before the half. Open on the baseline. Graham has it knocked loose by King, but Henderson picks it up. Weber on the rebound. Michigan on the break. Wolverines show patience that time.
Very good. Getting a little rest here for Weber. Going to put him down on the blocks.
Traveling.
Michigan really can't get any continuity in the backcourt today. Jalen Rose sat down early, took away their primary ball handler, and nobody has picked up the slack to be able to distribute the ball for Michigan. Right by Talley.
Evans rejected by Weber. They call contact.
That's the second time Evans off the pass has beat his man with the dribble.
That's
good offensive play.
Only the first on Weber, but Evans will shoot 2. Evans' best game, this his first year playing after redshirting last year, was against Illinois. 15 points and 8 rebounds. And the Hoosiers will take on Illinois for the second time this season on Wednesday. They'll shoot 1 more.
And Jim, talking about Illinois, when you start thinking about NCAA tournament, yesterday, a big win for the Big East.
Needed it too.
Yes, sir, with Pitt going and winning in Champaign. Now you've got a club like Providence that beat Arizona on their floor. Another one of those intersectional battles where you come up big. And of course, then you've got the Big West that had that big win over Georgetown, Vegas winning. You like that Big West, Jim?
I went out this week, yep, right? Saw Long Beach State play at UNLV, and although Long Beach lost this time, that's a team, Billy, going to be very dangerous in the tournament. They've got to get out of the Big West first, but they'll be like a 10 or 11 seed and will be a real dark horse in the first or second round.
Jalen Rose looking for the last shot here. Picks up the dribble, not wisely. You keep that dribble alive when you're trying to get it down to the last shot. pass it, get it right back. There he is. Want to definitely go in with the lead here. Don't give Indiana a chance to score.
Now Jalen about to break free at 10.
He's got Evans on him. Ought to be able to take him with a dribble. He's a lot quicker, and he gives it up.
That was a tough pass, too.
Not a good play. He had exactly the setup he wanted. He's quicker than Evans.
Only 2 seconds on the shot clock, 4 on the game clock.
Well, remember that huge play when Michigan beat North Carolina.
Didn't get it off in time.
But there's only 1 second to go now, so Michigan is not going to. Now, Bob Knight said there was 4 seconds on the clock on the inbounds, which he was right, and only 2 seconds on the shot clock. If you're Michigan, you want to be prepared to really guard the inbounds thrower here, because there's only one place that Indiana can put the ball, and that now with 2 seconds is to go length of court. They put Pelinka, who's a small man, on Evans. I think here's a place to put a big man on him.
So they add the extra second.
Bring a Riley in the game. Let Riley guard the man taking the ball out of bounds, which happens to be Evans. Make it tougher to throw over.
Well, Leary will have to try one from midcourt. On its way, 46-44 Michigan at the half. The battle for #1 in the polls. Pat O'Brien will be along with Prudential Securities at the half after this word and a message from your local station. First half, Michigan shot 60% from the floor. Indiana's allowed only one opponent all year to shoot over 50%. That was Minnesota. 3-point shooting, the Wolverines 5 out of 8. And Indiana 50%. Points in the paint pretty even. Matt Nover was 4 out of 4 from the floor. But the top scorers, Howard with 4 out of 5. He has got 11 for the Wolverines, 12 for Chaney.
And Jim, Damon Bailey back starting the second half has not scored, and you know what that omen means for Indiana. So if you're an IU fan, you want to see Damon put one up and hit here early, because when he's held scoreless, they don't fare very well.
Ryan Evans starting the second half for Indiana in place of Greg Graham. Nover now 5 for 5 from the floor.
Well, and there's a guy that, as I mentioned, was only averaging 6 points a game in Big Ten play so far this season. Down inside again, and there's the foul. Oh, he's so strong.
He was hacked by 2 players. They'll call it against Evans, his first.
And Jim, you know, Chris Webber and Jalen Rose and Juwan Howard are part of that exceptional student-athlete disability insurance program.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah.
Chris carries $2.7 million worth of disability insurance,
which is the maximum amount, and obviously he's a maximum player. So they have insurance policies, which they have to pay for, hopefully to be paid back to them out of proceeds that they will generate as professional players down the road somewhere. And it is not a cheap premium.
Webber only 2 out of 7 from the line.
And there's Jackson on Chaney. Chaney would rather not create a shot off the dribble. He wants to get some solid screens. Here he comes off too.
Looking for the lead.
Oh, good backdoor cut by Chaney.
Chaney in the lane. Last touch by Bailey, they say. It belongs to Michigan.
He knew it. Well, that was a great cut by Chaney. He just couldn't get the shot off. Well, he got it off, but he didn't get the shot as smoothly as he'd like.
Game tied at 46. First minute of the second half.
Now there, Webber set a solid screen, but King didn't go ahead and use him properly. Jalen Rose playing down in the low post a lot today. Jalen
appealed to the official, said he was held up by the trunks.
He probably was watching a Penn State game.
What'd you think of that finish?
Well, it was an incredible basketball game all the way around, and great tribute to the Penn State kids who have been thoroughly thrashed here to come back and play that way. Over again's hot.
Indiana has taken the lead, and over 6 for 6 from the floor.
there's that high-low post. Juwan Howard, good play by Henderson. Juwan Howard and Weber wanting to go high-low, inside-outside. It works better when Howard's down in there because Weber's got the three-point threat. There's that little touch shot of his.
Howard was hacked by Nover, so he'll shoot 2. And that's the second on Nover. Indiana, when you go back to the last couple of minutes of the first half, on a 9-0 run. But Howard could put an end to that at the free throw line.
That's Nover's second, Jim, and it takes so much strength and energy to play low post defense, as was the case for Nover there. Not only do you pick up fouls, but it wears you down.
Free throw shooting out of 11 teams in the Big Ten. Michigan next to last. 64%. Can you win a national championship shooting 64% from the line?
Well, I won't say you can't do anything on a stat, but Jim, it's certainly something as tight as it's going to be this year that can really haunt a team. But sometimes teams get in streaks where they shoot a lot better than they do on the year, as has been the case for Michigan in some games this year.
Howard's made all 5 of his attempts today.
But if the answer is that they're going to shoot 64% in the NCAA tournament, I say no, they can't win on that basis.
Nover finally misses, but he retrieves it. He kicks it out to Evans. Cheney.
Nice.
Henderson, three-pointer, air ball.
Didn't have himself ready to take that shot.
Jackson cutting to the hole, off the glass.
Nice job by Jackson to pull up.
Traveling.
Daly having a tough game, Jim. As I said, it's so important for that young man to get untracked early in a game. It seems that if he can't get untracked early, he just goes into a funk.
He talked about these lapses as part of mental preparation. Said when he was in high school, up to the age of 18 in his career, he could get 30 anytime he wanted. But at this level, you can't just walk on the floor and get 30.
Well, I can tell you, without being in the locker room of Michigan, what Steve Fisher talked about at halftime, and that is, guys, we're going down inside low until Indiana shows they can stop it.
Howard now with 15 and the lead at 4.
Double
for Michigan.
Evans should have stayed on the side. He'd been open for a jump shot. There he is.
Tipped in by Cheney.
The reason for that, there was a double team on Cheney, which allowed Evans to be wide open. Michigan couldn't get back on defense to help out afterwards with the double team.
King, soft three-pointer. He knocked down, by the way, in the first half his 50th three of his career. Became the 3rd player on this team to have at least 50 made.
And Jim, he's in a situation where he's shooting right around 40% from three-pointers.
Here's one at the other end, Evans. You're going to see a lot of that, folks, the next 3 years.
And he shoots the ball relatively low in his hand position. Still gets it off.
King. Little shooting contest. A game of horse at opposite ends.
It's kind of interesting to see the momentum go Indiana's way, and that quickly Michigan turned the fortunes. I think they did that by being patient going down inside. Good rub off.
Evans leaning and drawing the foul on Jackson. And that's his 3rd. Next Saturday on CBS, we have women's act.
Terry DeHare looking like he is getting his shot back. Hit some big ones yesterday in that big win for Seton Hall. They were really
taking overtime by Villanova.
Right, and Georgetown, Jim, there's a club somewhat on the bubble. They've got a very young team, but they've got to turn around some big wins here going down a stretch.
I still think PJ's Pirates are going to be very tough come March. They'll have them peaking at the right time. We'll have Seton Hall, Georgetown next Sunday.
Good feed. There those hands again. Well, you get it down to him low, even in traffic. He's going to get. It's almost like he has glue in his hands.
Good pass by Jackson, by the way. He snapped it inside. Ball is kicked.
You know, and let's give Jimmy King some credit. He's been the guy on Bailey all day, doing a good job.
Break in the action. Wolverines by 6. Talk about Dan Dockich. He stopped Michael Jordan in his final college game in a regional semifinal in '84. What did he do against Jordan?
19 down in Atlanta. Bob Knight played a game close to the vest and knocked off a great Naismith club, but then got knocked off the next night in a big upset by the University of Virginia.
Yep, Virginia went to
without Ralph Sampson and went to the Final Four.
Holden Polynice.
That's right.
Dockich now an assistant here for Bobby Knight. That's the third foul, by the way, on Rose. We were talking about free throw percentage. In fact, that Michigan is shooting around 64%.
Hey, you know who coached that team in '77? Obviously, they shot well because they had that great shooting coach, Al McGuire.
But the worst free throw performance by national champs in the last 20 years. The UCLA team is 73.
That's Bill Walton, huh? Just got in the Hall of Fame. We talked about Bellamy earlier, but how about Bill Walton?
Well, he shot about 95% from the floor in that championship game. Remember that?
When you make 21 out of 22 from the floor, you don't have to worry about free throws. Matter of fact, he didn't even go to the foul line that game.
Against Memphis State.
Again, looking inside. Nice play.
Rose puts it up quickly.
And there was a good, smart play by Rose, realizing that weak side help was going to be there for Indiana. Nobody back to see him coming. Came in behind the defense. A good move. There's that triangle. 3 men setting screens down inside for Indiana. Evans thinks he can take Rose. How about that?
He's playing with a lot of confidence. Not afraid to take charge. They say it last touch to Indiana.
Now, Evans has got a scorer's mentality. Jalen Rose is guarding him, and he's not afraid to take that ball on him. They changed the call. The Tom Weiskopf look-alike referee down there on top of it.
Talking about with the golf swing or just the...
It looks like it. Bob Knight got the call he wanted, so he's not going to be very vocal. Steve Fisher screaming down his end of the floor.
You're talking about Steve Welmer, by the way, to clarify, the official. Michigan led by 2 at the half. Indiana came out, took a 2-point lead here early, but Michigan back by 7.
Beautiful block by Weber.
Now, home winning streaks. UNLV's in jeopardy at the moment, playing against Louisville. Gainey short and over on the tip. No basket interference. They score the goal to Henderson.
Boy, nobody blocked out Henderson, and Nover kept it alive for him. There's Nover down in the low post again.
Rose was almost a set shot. 3-point basket, gets it back to 8.
He's got that John Lucas set shot. John now, of course, doing so well down in San Antonio, but at the University of Maryland, he used that standstill one-hander to perfection.
And left hand as well.
Yep. Good pass out. Evans playing very well offensively.
Chaney. The only 2 left-handers in Bob Knight's coaching career at Indiana. Hooking up on that one. Evans to Chaney. Jackson. And Chaney on the rebound. Here comes Indiana.
Oh, tough break for Indiana as that ball hit the back of Jalen Rose's leg. Evans again.
And Howard with the body and all. That's his 3rd. I thought the ball was kicked a couple of times. They never called it.
Well, it was inadvertent. It hit on the back of the leg. There's Louisville. Denny Crum's team's playing better and better. Tough loss to Tulane this week, a team that's sure to be a factor in the NCAA tournament. But with Clifford Rozier, that team is playing extremely well.
So Riley in for Howard, who sits with 3 personals.
Well, Jim, one of the things you have to wonder about Evans, can he play this many minutes? You know, he has not played that much in a game situation like this continuous time, but he's given him really a solid play here. And he wants that ball, mark of a great player.
Weber deflects it.
Second time Weber has deflected one, and a great outlet pass.
What a pass. Back from King to Rose. Last touch by King.
And that was Evans that made a sensational defensive stop. Now Jalen, without having a right hand, could have laid this up with his right hand. But watch, because he doesn't have a right hand, he makes a pass instead of an easy shot layup. And it's one pass too many. That, for you young players, is the reason why you want to be able to shoot it with the right or the left hand. Jalen could have gone up and made the little baby hook with the right hand. He doesn't have it in his arsenal. Look at that shooting percentage. Amazing. And that's because they're going and pounding it downside.
Rob Pelinka in for Michigan.
Good switch by Pelinka.
Chaney over Pelinka to cut it to 4.
Pelinka did everything that Steve Fisher had designed there. He switched, but just no match for Calbert Chaney. I'm looking for fatigue to become a factor, Jim, at about the 10-minute mark. Weber's been asked to play continuously, as has Chaney.
Talk about Evans playing time. He's been on the floor 14 minutes. And 3 by Pelinka. Off the mark. Riley.
Nice pass.
Jackson and 1.
And there's
And
experience.
he may have hurt the ankle again.
Well, they can bring anybody they want off the bench to shoot if he's injured. Let's look down on that bench.
Dislocated the shoulder against North Carolina in December out in Hawaii. And sprained an ankle last week. Greg Graham called for his second personal. Jackson will stay in.
This was a smart play by Riley. You know, he had a shot there, but saw a teammate with a better one and gave it up. And this is what we talked about, this deep bench at all positions for Michigan, a factor on that play.
Jackson, the sophomore from Austin, Texas. His father, a football coach and track coach at LBJ High School there, but Ray never played football. Basketball always been his game. He's now totaled 9 points in this game.
Kind of like the Grant Hill story, huh?
Same thing, Grant Hill never played football.
Right. Boy, Evans making some good decisions.
That would have cut it to 4. Tip it back to Evans.
Greg Graham hasn't gotten started offensively that much. And there you see, Nover's not going to take a shot outside the area where Knight doesn't want it.
Stolen by Rose. Weber's the trailer.
Oh, that's going to be intentional. That should be intentional.
What will they call on
It
Evans?
doesn't look like they're going to call it, but that should have been intentional. Went right to try to stop the shot, didn't go for the ball. Yeah, no question, Steve Fisher. I agree with you. You see, Rose has got it made all the way. Look at that. He grabs him right around the neck. Has to be an intentional foul. There he is. Look at it. He's from behind, not going for the ball at all. That wasn't even a tough call to make. Steve Fisher should have been wearing a striped shirt on that one.
Well, they only call it an ordinary personal foul. His second. Rose at the line for 2.
And Jim, we go back to that Penn State game. If the official had seen the grabbing of the shirt, that's an automatic intentional foul. Penn State would have had 2 shots and the ball out of bounds in that situation.
Already had the lead at that point.
Yep. But that one was an easy call there. The official definitely missed that one.
Michigan by 9, 11:32 remaining in the game. Scored in the game. Michigan, in fact, shooting better from the floor than from the free throw line. 65% overall from the floor for the Wolverines. 59% from the free throw line, 10 of 17. But they lead by 9. Stuck, kicks it back out to Bailey. Driving baseline, Graham now. He'll look for some help.
Nice switch that time by Riley. And that's what Steve Fisher said the club will have to do. They just have to get in some mismatches because you've got to switch against a club that screens as well as Indiana. You just can't stay with your man all the time.
Over.
There's Henderson on those boards again.
And this will go against Michigan. Juwan Howard about to check back in.
Again, Jim, Steve Fisher able to rest Weber. He's got Voskuhl over there. He's got Jimmy King getting a rest now. So he really is going to have a team that's going to be well conditioned for the last 8-minute run.
Pelinka called for his first and 4th team foul. Nover went up with it. He'll shoot 2. We saw the Cal Stanford score a moment ago. Billy, I think it's such an unfortunate and disgraceful signal sent down this week to fire a coach in the middle of a college basketball season. And Lou Campanelli was ousted this week.
Couldn't agree with you more, Jim. I think that the thoughts there have been universal, obviously, in the coaching fraternity, particularly in the fact that Lou has always handled himself in terms of NCAA violations and the ethical recruiting process that he's had. Just doesn't seem to be a justification to let a man go of that caliber.
Especially in the middle of a season in college. I can understand it in Trojan. Never, and he's got a winning record, but it's the second college coach this year let go in the middle of the season. Tom Miller, a former Knight assistant, let go at Army a couple of weeks back. Riley, not soft enough on that touch. Indiana trying to cut into a 7-point Michigan lead.
Jimmy King now rested on Calvert Cheney. He's had fresh people on him all day. Good bounce pass baseline.
Henderson pump faking, missing the lane, but Nover and one.
Jim on both ends. He made the great defensive rebound on one end and came right back. The strong power rebound on the other. Only 6'8". But you gotta block him out. See, nobody from Michigan's even paying any attention to Nover. He's gonna slide right through in that space and uses that power and strength to come in with a rebound. Outstanding play. You've got to put a body on a man down the low baseline. You see Riley gets there late.
16 for Nover. Make it 17 and 6 rebounds.
Jimmy's been the MVP for Indiana every time we've had him this year. Indiana not giving up that outside shot now. Jimmy King not able to get it off. There it is for Jalen. Good recovery by Damon Bailey.
70-66 Wolverines. Long rebound tapped out to Bailey.
Going right inside.
Graham slashing and missing.
I thought Juwan Howard got a piece of that, and they just cannot keep Indiana off the boards. It's amazing.
Graham keeps it alive. What a pass, Nover. Boy, that was a good bounce pass to get it inside to Nover. Let's see what they call this one on, Billy.
When is the last time you saw somebody just dominate Michigan on the boards?
Pelinka called. You don't see anyone dominate Michigan on the boards.
And you know, they've got their club rested out there. Foul troubles mounting up.
Jackson with 4. He's the one to watch. He's on the bench, however, at the moment. Now he takes the warm-ups off. He'll be coming in shortly. Running of a 1-and-1. He'll shoot one more.
I think the reason for that, Steve Fisher wants him out there defensively now. He's going back with his regular lineup, figuring that if he can cut them off defensively, even if Jackson fouls out, he can have Pelinka in the game, a better ball handler and offensive threat going down the wire. But he wants to keep that lead to get there.
Let's shoot right.
Look at there they are on the boards again. That time Weber saying, hey, they're all over my back.
Michigan by 3. Moving in on 9 minutes remaining.
Jackson with a back screen for Weber, but Calvert Cheney just holding him out.
Little hook by Weber drops.
Nice touch.
Basket by number 4, Chris Weber.
There's Nover setting the screens, getting Henderson loose. Got hit on the arm.
Nover again.
Mr. CBS.
I'm telling you. And I thought you were all this time. Our Chevy MVP of the Kentucky game this season, Kansas this season. No basket. In the West Regional victory over UCLA, he was the CBS Chevrolet MVP, was Nover. We might as well give it a pop while we can. Near the conclusion of this game will be a little box.
You don't think there's any possibility he thinks he's actually going to get to Chevy? Nice pass by Chris Webber.
You know, Jackson, we've seen so little of him this season because of the injuries, but I don't think without question, he's the most improved of the Fab Five this year. Over short this time.
There's another offensive rebound. It is amazing how Indiana's going up on the board.
They've got 17 offensive rebounds, Billy, versus only 6 for Michigan at their end.
And we talked about finesse going up against power, but it's been the power of Indiana on the board.
Graham with a 3 that cuts it to 2.
And what made it, Jim, is that offensive rebound that Indiana got for another opportunity. Looking inside. Ray Jackson again, Jim, even though the foul was called. How about that drive?
You wouldn't have seen that kind of move last year. Can't argue with that, though. Most improved player of that Fab Five.
I would agree.
Bailey still scoreless, but Indiana's within 2, and CBS Sports coverage of NCAA basketball will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
Coverage of the
Hall in 2 years since Iowa beat them. February of '91, 80-79. They're down 2. Michigan with possession.
Good jump stop by. Oh, look at Weber's hands inside. And there's Jackson again. Again, it's a matter of keeping the ball alive on the offensive boards. Like Bob Knight said yesterday, if you don't get it up on the rim, we've got no chance to score. Both teams doing a job on the offensive boards.
Ray Jackson has 13 points, but 4 personal fouls he's saddled with.
How about Cheney? Recognized the double team, dribbled out of trouble, set things back up again.
Ryan Evans back into the Hoosier lineup.
Back screen for Evans.
Good pass. And Graham, nice spin on the ball, too.
Now Graham is rested because he's had an opportunity to sit when Leary gave him a little spell.
Oh, Weber throws it away.
That was backcourt, but the Indiana players were very smart going after the ball because if you can get it, you have the right to go in and score, obviously.
They would have had a 2-on-1.
Sure.
As it is, they'll take over.
The chance to tie or go ahead with a 3.
They trail by 2. Eric Riley replacing Weber.
Big Steve Fisher trying to get Chris rested for maybe give him 1 minute to sit down and get ready to go back in there.
Weber averaging 19. He has only 12 in this game.
Well, a lot of screens in there.
Over. Back out to Evans.
Penetrate, pop back out.
Graham. Leap and leaner drops. The game is tied.
And great defense by Jimmy King, and Graham scores anyway. That rest made him strong enough to go over the top of Jimmy King.
76-76. Rose with a flat-footed 3. Long rebound to Riley. Back to Rose. He'll go to the line for 2.
Jalen got off to a pretty good start today. Been relatively quiet here in the second half.
Reynolds with his second. Rose will shoot a couple. He is a 68% shooter from the line. 6 minutes remaining in this one. Game is tied.
Jim, Jalen averages 33 minutes a game. They've got 4 of their starters right at about that 30-minute mark. So they get that 10 minutes out a game. In the case of Indiana, you've got a situation where Cheney is up there at about 36 minutes a game.
Rose with 14, giving Michigan the lead by 2. This could give Indiana the lead. Freshman Brian Evans.
Juwan Howard wants it back.
Evans knocks it away. A steal by Evans. And then a push off.
The pass.
And Jackson has fouled out of the game.
Jim, Jackson's got to sit. Now let's see what the matchup is going to be. Because now, who is going to take Chaney? Jimmy King has been on Graham. Pelinka's too small for Chaney. Probably is going to mean that Jimmy King moves over to guard Chaney the rest of the way.
They brought Weber in for Howard, and Pelinka replaces the fouled out Jackson. Here's a 1-and-1 for Chaney. And a timeout called by Michigan. 5:34 remaining, and Indiana has fought back to take the lead. Jim Nance along with Billy Packer and Pat O'Brien for the final 5:34. The Wolverines now with 2 timeouts remaining. Indiana all 3 timeouts left. The arrow belongs to Michigan. 1 more free throw for Chaney. And he has now made all 5 of his attempts today. Indiana leads by 3.
Jim, isn't this interesting? This run has been made with Henderson on the bench and Evans playing a key role. Bob Knight found the hot button and he stayed with it. Bailey on the bench, Henderson on the bench. Jalen trying to do too much himself.
And Evans with another steal.
Well, he has had a great second half.
Chaney wants the jumper. Not this time. Riley pulls it down. 5 minutes to go. Indiana leads 81-78.
Can't believe they can't get Weber the ball with Evans on it. They've got to get the ball down to Chris Weber on his possession. He's got it. He's ready.
Stolen by Reynolds.
And doesn't try to score. Just exactly what Steve Fisher wanted. They got him the ball in the low post, and he didn't look to score. Evans looked up at the clock saying, hey, how long do I stay out here?
Just in time to shoot another 3.
There's another offensive rebound.
Chaney almost lost it, kicks it back out. Evans, this is a... They call that a 3. I thought his foot was on the line.
Jim, offensive rebounding has been the key in this second half for Indiana.
They score at a 3-point basket. And another timeout called by Michigan. That leaves the Wolverines with only 1 timeout. The Hoosiers ahead by 6.
UNLV has dropped the game today, so they're no longer into that longest winning streak. IU with a chance and in control right now, Jim.
Longest home winning streak, that is, at 26, and they lead by 6. Louisville, a hot ball club lately, wins that game by 4.
Lincoln's got to look at the rim. Boy, Evans still doing a good position job. Now, Chris Weber's got to go up and shoot. There it is.
Pelinka kept it alive, but they may have pulled him over the back.
Yep.
Indiana, the last 7 minutes on a 23-8 run.
Great job by Evans. He knew what Chris Weber wanted to do, and he just stopped him. And they've made this run without Alan Henderson on the floor, who was the key for them in that first game. Look at Evans just battling every step of the way. Weber's so strong, doesn't get it. And there's Pelinka coming down the middle over the back.
So Reynolds will shoot a 1-and-1.
Still plenty of time here, Jim, to be looking for good, solid shots, not worrying about the three. Chris Webber asking him to swing the ball.
King with a three. Caney pulls it out. Ahead to Evans. He'll take it straight to the hole. He's clobbered. He'll shoot two.
Here we see it, a good bounce pass, excellent catch by Evans. He looks it right into his hands on the run and takes it to the hoop. Jalen Rose gets a piece of the arm. Jimmy King gets the ball.
That's 4 on Rose. Evans at the line, 14 points. He's one off his career high.
Jim, we're talking about a guy that averages 17 minutes a game. So, this is so out of character to have to come in against this type of competition and play this many quality minutes.
Played 23 minutes, now with a career-tying 15 points.
And he's played them against Chris Webber in the low post on defense.
He's defending right now. Webber challenging. Evans wrapped around with the foul.
Well, he knew he was beat. Probably not a bad idea to put Webber on the foul line as opposed to letting him make his dunk, right?
Yeah, why not? He's only 52%, and he's even worse than that today. Is Webber from the free throw line. He is 2 out of 7. 1-and-1. 2
out of 8.
2 out of 8 now.
You asked that question earlier, can you win a national championship with that kind of free throw shooting? It looks like it's going to prevent them certainly from not winning a Big Ten title.
Maybe even a #1 seed.
Number one seed?
Still 4 weeks before Selection Sunday.
Think of another thing. You know where that first round is in that particular seed?
In the Midwest?
Right.
You better believe it.
Indianapolis, where Bobby Knight took the Steve Alford club through on the way to a national crown.
Yep, 87 started the journey right there. That's a first round side in the Midwest.
Good switch by Jimmy King.
Evans with the three. Hit the side of the backboard. 3-on-1 for Michigan. Rose. Hold on a minute. They call it the other way, and Rose is fouled out.
Quick feet by Chris Reynolds.
It may be Valentine's Day, but everything did not come up roses today.
You can see Chris Reynolds just hustled to the spot, held his ground. Great defensive play. They had a 3-on-1 fast break, and Reynolds held his ground to pick up the charge.
So Rose has fouled out. Jackson fouling out.
And Jim, in 23 years, Bob Knight has won 10 Big Ten titles. He is the only coach during that period of time who has not had a losing record in the Big Ten, at least in 1 year. Never had a losing record. 10 Big Ten titles, 3 NCAAs, 1 NIT, and looks like he's well on his way here to his 11th Big Ten title.
5 Final Fours. Michael Talley takes over for Rose. So Talley and Pelinka in the backcourt for Michigan.
When Michigan gets that ball, they now have to be thinking 3. And Indiana's going to play. Run up their offense. Look at how high they're running their offense now. Up above the foul line, looking for the back screen or the backdoor cut. Going to use some clock here. Pelinka with Chaney. He's in trouble.
Pelinka taps it, but it's out to Graham. And there's a reach in by Howard. Howard with his 4th.
And Indiana, if nothing else, used about 30 seconds there on the clock. That becomes Michigan's major opponent now, is the clock as opposed to Indiana.
Playing for #1 today, Billy.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, Kentucky lost, Duke lost, Michigan had that chance maybe to vault, as you said earlier, Jim, but right now it looks like IU is #1. And solid.
makes them both. A 9-point lead. Bosco will come in for three-point shooting.
Yep. The second half has been the story of Indiana's offensive rebounding. And Brian Evans, great play off the bench. And you know, another string this will break for Damon Bailey, Jim. He has not scored today, and yet it looks like IU's going to win a game. Gets that jinx over for him.
Indiana on an 11-0 run. Tally. Over the top of that. Indiana basketball.
Indiana playing really tough on the perimeter to take away the three-point shot.
Palinka in for Tally. And here comes Bailey. Maybe he'll score.
Well, I think the reason Bailey in the game right now is that he's very good at handling that ball. Strong, understands the offensive concept here. And you have Bob Knight now is playing with really two small forwards and three guards. Goes long.
Cheney breaks, but he'll pull back.
Again, possession better to use the clock here. He takes the time. It would have been a 5-second count.
Timeout Indiana with 1:18 remaining in the game.
Timeout called by Indiana. First timeout.
So where's the fire offer?
Where's my father? Papa, look what came. My acceptance letter to college.
College is a wonderful thing, mind.
You can have a fine life here. What do you need from college?
Remember how we talked about my going away to college? I know what you're gonna say, but at college they have professors from all over the world, and it'll all help me with my wanting to be a writer.
Hey, kid, what are you gonna write about?
For over 150 years, America's universities have given kids from everywhere the chance to pursue their dreams through an education. And what their dreams have given back to us is immeasurable.
So what do you think?
Well, Arthur, I think if that writing thing doesn't work out, you'll make one heck of a salesman.
Well, it's an Indiana. He'll be in the off. He'll shoot two, but in the double bonus, and he has finally scored. By the way, although he's having an off day today, all 5 Indiana starters average in double figures. That's happened only 3 times in Bob Knight's coaching career.
Well, we talk about all these things, Jim. Back to New Orleans, back to potentially Indianapolis. Undefeated team in the Big Ten.
And all 3 times he's had all 5 starters in double figures. They've always gone to the Final Four. Weber, three-pointer. And a timeout, Michigan's last timeout. That cuts it to 8 with 54 seconds remaining. But the Wolverines are out of timeouts. We'll be right back. Let's go ahead and award our Chevrolet players of the game. Ray Jackson from Michigan with 13 points. And Brian Evans from Indiana, 15, and a couple of big steals in the second half. A check in the amount of $1,000 donated to each college's general scholarship fund.
And Jim Evans is going to play 30 minutes today. He's been averaging, as I said before, right at 17. Michigan out of timeouts. They have only one strategy they can employ it the rest of the way, and that is to foul immediately and to be shooting threes on their end.
They brought in freshman Dugan Fife has Michigan, his first action. And Weber wraps around Bailey. He'll shoot 2.
Now, this is all that you can do, and the difficulty here is, you know, they're down 8. If Indiana hits these free throws, the score does not really indicate the way the game has been played. It's a very well played game.
Fife goes right out of the game after only 4 seconds of play. Palinka in for him.
Jimmy talked about Damon very often, you know, the all-time leading scorer in Indiana high school history. Calbert Cheney, before this year is over, you know, looked in the beginning, he might not be the all-time Big Ten scorer, but assuming that he stays healthy,
he's got it.
He's going to make it.
Yep. And he'll Be the first Indiana player ever to lead the Hoosiers in scoring 4 straight years. Another three by Weber. Man, he has knocked down a couple of long-range threes that are off balance. Shows you what kind of talent he has. He's cut it to 6 with 37 seconds. But again, Michigan without a timeout.
But it's all the strategy they can employ, and they're doing it well so far. They, with 50 seconds to go, they have used it twice, the foul and then using the three-point shot. So these become critical free throws, because now you're talking about 2 possessions, Jim, with this strategy. And crazier things have happened. And as is always the case, when you look back, when you blow one of these games, it'll be free throws that could have salted the game away. That was true for Penn State the other night. You can talk about referees' calls all you want. If they make the free throws, the game is over.
Bailey now 4 out of 6 here in the last minute.
That changes things. That makes 3 possessions necessary. Clock doesn't start till somebody touches it. There goes Chris again.
Might as well. And he's fouled. Almost a 4-point opportunity. Greg Graham says, what? Are you kidding me?
Well, Bob Knight says no foul, and Bob's going bananas on that one. And the reason for it is it was a tough shot. He not only would have got 3 if he hits it, but he gets another free throw, so it could have been a 4-point play.
But he'll shoot 3 free throws anyhow. Todd Leary in for Indiana.
You want to play tough defense against the 3, but you do not want to foul the 3.
But Weber has really struggled from the line today, as you see, 2 out of 8.
A point I want to make too, Jim, back to the Penn State game again. A man who shoots a shot is in the act of shooting on a jump shot until both feet touch the floor. And that's why that was a proper call the other night, even though the ball had been released from the shooter's hands.
Bertram fouling Graham at the end of regulation. And Graham hit 2 free throws to send it to the first overtime. And now 1 more for Weber. Get it down to 5 with this one. And still time, 31 seconds.
Still time for the foul strategy and then shoot threes.
And he got it. Got the last 2.
Now, as a matter of fact, Jim, what you can do now, when you get it down to 5, if they get the ball back with 5, you can go for a 2 and then a 3, which is a good strategy to hold the ball outside like you're going to shoot a 3 and then fire down inside.
Bailey looking for help. He got it to Cheney.
Now, are they going to say that the foul?
No, they're calling double dribble on Cheney.
I thought they were going to say that the foul was committed before he grabbed him. Instead, double dribble. Let's take a look at this. Chris Webber battling all the way, showing great determination here. That's a foul there. No. The foul was committed before the walk took place. Don't agree with that call at all. He called it a double dribble instead.
Webber again, 3. Cheney gets it. And he'll go to the line for a couple. Just imagine that shot by Webber could have cut it to 2.
That was a big break potentially for Michigan, Jim, on that last call, but they couldn't take advantage of it. And that's why I said they were down 5 with that kind of break. They didn't need to take the tough outside shot. Fire the ball inside, because Indiana will give you the 2.
Cheney 5 for 5 from the line today.
Didn't get his normal footwork on that play. Got it flat-footed.
Oh, can you believe it? He missed them both.
I think they should go for 2 down inside this time. Don't try to go for 3s.
20 seconds to go. Weber, King underneath.
Oh, see, they can take 2.
He had an easy 2. Weber with Howard missing this time.
They should take 2. They're down 5.
King got it. 7 seconds to go. It's down to 2.
Don't throw the ball in bounds if you don't have to.
And Evans fouled with 2 seconds remaining. King bypassed. King was the first one to get an offensive board with about 16 seconds left. You could have laid it right back in, reduced it to 3.
When you're down 5, take a 2 and be satisfied with that and save some seconds on the clock. You can see the shot goes up.
Well, this is the second one. They've already had King underneath, pass it back out.
Exactly. Because you need 2 possessions to tie the game up. You didn't need a 3-point play.
Ryan Evans.
And if you were Indiana on that last inbounds, you didn't have to throw the ball inbounds because there was less than 5 seconds. Michigan didn't have a timeout, so just stand there and hold the ball.
And if he makes the next one, he'll ice it.
That's right. And in fact, if you're Indiana, you pull everybody over to the side and just let them do whatever they want, and the game is over. Just get the ball inbounds.
And a timeout called by Indiana. Bob Knight just wants to make sure. We'll be right back. Indiana by 4.
Jim, I think the strategy on this play is to keep your 5 players standing right over by your bench. Don't let them even get in the action. Don't let anybody get hurt. Let Michigan score. They cannot call a timeout, so consequently, the clock runs out. You don't even have to defend here.
Indiana by 4.
And that's what they did. They all walked over into the corner, stayed away from the action.
And Weber gets the 3 to make the difference 1. Indiana wins both games this season against Michigan by a single point. They have the nation's longest home win streak, now at 27. So for Billy Packer and Pat O'Brien, Jim Nance saying so long from Assembly Hall, where the final score is Indiana 93, Michigan 92. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports, home of the NCAA Basketball Championship.